This conference will now be recorded.
Hi everyone, so very warm welcome to the first session SAP Cloud Integration Suite. My name is Sam. So I hope everyone was there in our last demo session where we just talked about the basic what we have, like again the very high level, what do we have planned for the course. So we'll just do one thing. So from today onwards, we'll just take a baby steps ahead how we actually progress with the integration course. So I hope we'll just quickly run through it. I hope people don't have any kind of a question. In case if you have any kind of questions, just give me a heads up that okay, Sam, I have a question at that particular spot. Okay. So we started talked about who can attend, what we see as a part of demo. So I'll just highlight what are the important points. So we just talked about the intelligent enterprise. Okay, so when I say about intelligent enterprise, because this cloud integration suite fits very well into this SAP's overall platform or a suite. How does it actually integrates with the other applications? We talked about okay about bit of branding. How does what was it was called earlier, now what is currently it is called. So currently this particular tool or the service is called SAP Cloud Integration. I think yesterday, I think someone mailed me up and asked very beautiful thing. Yeah, Sam, sometime you call application, sometime you call service. So now I'm a bit confused. So guys, what happened is now when we are moving into the scale of in case of this hyperscalers, we we're just talking about GCP. Now SAP has its own platform, not very vast like AWS and all, but yeah, SAP BTP is there. So whenever you just start any kind of or any kind of a service, whenever you want to use any kind of application, we call it as a service or application. People who are coming from like compromise, like we do have that way to call it out as an application. But I think service will be a more easy word to use out. Then we talked about now what SAP has bundled. Okay, overall this SAP Cloud Integration Suite, which have this main four components: APIs, open connectors, cloud integration, and your adapter SDK is part of it. So I don't want to just go in detail right now about API management or your open connectors because again these are vast topics. So we would be going in our course as such. Then this was an important piece of again information. Okay, so why I want you everyone to see all this information again. Guys, when we starting with the integration bit, I think it's very important to know what kind of a solution SAP offers. Okay, what kind of uh, cloud application which are running good in market, because if they are running good in markets, I'm sure they would be needing some kind of integration. So it will be always good. So now let's say for example, if you're just talking about a success factor, Reba, or we're talking about a Fieldglass, Concur, all these are these are like not homegrown SAP application. SAP has acquired. They already have some kind of a customer base. So if they have already customer base, now I'm sure anytime if you have to do your order, your delivery document, anything that goes again into your on-premise ERP main core. So there it needs an integration. So it's always good to know what kind of application, okay, is running good in the market. Because if you can just project yourself from the integration perspective, it will be always add-on. Now, second thing is, now let's say if you're working in a company, might be consumer or might be any kind of consulting-based company, it's always good to understand, might your customer, what kind of integration they required. Okay. So in my case, I was just working with one of the companies where they actually was pretty much interested in a Zoho integration with their on-premise S4. So in that particular case, there was a lot of always there are a lot of projects running for Zoho, Salesforce, and all. So it's always good to understand what are the different kind of applications available or like Workday, ServiceNow, and how these are benefiting to the customers. Because if they're benefiting to the customer, there are chances that you might have to integrate overall into the SAP landscape sometime. Because I've seen it very. If you just name any ServiceNow, Workday, Salesforce, so there is already a pre-packaged content available for this kind of applications. So this is important that how does my suit look like? I'm sure this is like again a very high level. What are the components? But just keep now all these things in mind. Okay, as a part of a suit, there is a cloud integration, there is an API management, there is an open connector, and there is a ICA, which is your content advisor also, which is there for EDI. But again, that's again very far ahead. We'll just talk about, but let's understand, okay, what are the main pieces. Now I hope everyone has them in these things in their mind. Then we talked about a system. What are this discover, design, monitor, and what are the four P's for system? Then we just talked about what are the use cases we have planned to cover in the system. Then we discussed about key highlight of this particular course. Okay, so we just talked about what we are going to whole discuss in this overall this particular course. So I'm sure there are a lot of topics which might be I was not able to mention it out because as this terms says, as this headline says, key highlights. So I just try to keep it only the important terms, okay, which would be you will be able to identify it most of the time whenever you are seeing any kind of openings also. So they will say, okay, have work with adapters, custom iFlow development, Groovy script, success factor integration. So that's why I just kept these terms. Last one was the FAQs. We discussed on this particular bit. That's it. So this is what we have discussed in our yesterday's part. So now, as this is the first session, so we are going to talk today. I think this is just a 1 hour session. We're going to talk about basics, and then from going forward from the next week, it will be a 2 hour session. Now, first thing, before we actually jump into and start discussing on different topics, there are a few things which I want to highlight here. First thing is, guys, every 2 weeks, your calendar invite this meeting gets changed. Okay. So don't just save one invite meeting link and you every week you will think that we have to just use the same link. No. Every 2 weeks, your calendar will get updated. Okay. Please make sure that you go into your calendar and you take the latest meeting because every time I'll update it. So it should reflect into your calendar. Guys, this is important because sometimes people say this and they comes and Sam, I'm in a meeting and I don't see you. Okay, so please make sure that whenever you are in session, join from your calendar because it will have your updated meeting. That's point number one. Second thing, I think people yesterday only and today also people asking me, Sam, how will I be covering the documentation certification? Guys, I do understand that you have done an investment. It's very hard earned money. I really believe that because I also work very hard to earn money. Okay, so don't worry about that particular part. So all the things would be covered. Because first, if I start talking about a certification or if I just talk to directly to the documentation, you will not be able to link it out. Okay. And why I'm saying it? Because in cloud, you have monthly changes, monthly releases. Sometimes there is a new feature available. Now, if I start talking on day one, my bit will not be of value there. So don't worry about this particular part, your certification and your documentation. I'll just make sure what is all these things are covered. Okay. If certification they have removed of SAP Integration Associate and they have bring some new integration, your certification for integration, which is SAP Cloud Integration Suite, I'll be talking about that part. What are the new things they have actually included into it? Okay, because recently I think the people who have done the course they have given the certification, so we are working together it out because now certification has also changed. So when he asked me if we discussed, okay, what are the different points? So there was a lot of new additions onto open connectors and API management because that's how the change would be. So I would be talking about all these points. Okay, that's the point number two. Third point is, guys, this course is from scratch. Okay, this course I've already talked from that there is a no prerequisite. I'm going to talk from scratch. So just a quick request, if please have an empathy for other team members because there will be a fresher, there will be someone who's coming from a bad background, might be your PO experience or some MuleSoft experience. So just a request, please be have little empathy for your teammates who are working with you. Might be in case if it's fine you basic, yeah, you might can skip it out. You can just go through the recordings, but yeah, let's have that kind of environment here. Now coming to after this point, we have okay, this is done. Good. Okay, perfect. I think these are the few points which I want to discuss before going into actually the course part of it. Now, great. So we have discussed on few points. Now, first of all, I want to start with the very basic of it. Okay, so now when I say very basic of it, what do I mean by it? So now, guys, my first we want to discuss is why do we need integration? Okay, because I cannot just directly go into the just directly BTP and CP and start developing an iFlow, because I think it's very important that we do understand the basics of it. Okay. So now, guys, what do you think? What exactly is the reason of this integration? Why do you think we need an integration here? Anyone? Why do you think we need integration? And I really want
Yeah,
this to be interactive. I don't want that to be just I'm speaking it out, because it will also help you out. Yep.
I can try. So I think that like one system cannot cover all the processes and data. So like there may be multiple system. So those system like actually data should flow from one system to another system, and for that purpose we need integration.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair
Thank you.
enough. Fair enough. Yep. Yep. Thank you. Thank you so much. I think you've used the word
Yeah.
process and data. So I get that part. You have used the term process and data. Good, because I think for other people it will also help going forward. What is the process? Okay, yeah. So now, guys, I think it's a very common need. Now, let's not get into only SAP terms, because I know there are people who are from non-SAP background. Now, let's say if it is talking about the very simple sites. Now, let's say in case if you go to any site. Now, let's say if I just go directly to this Amazon.in. Okay. Now, when you go to Amazon.in, what happens is you go just look for your product, you add to your cart, and you want to check it out. Do you really think that to have all these features? Now, when I say features, so now you have feature related to might be product availability, okay, might be your delivery to that particular address, might be your pricing. Okay, there are multiple reasons, or there are multiple backend systems which are working. Okay, so it cannot be just a one system who can just give you all the functionality. There cannot be like one single server who can do all the things. It will never work out. Okay. Now we are living in the world of microservices. The concept is just changing altogether. Okay. So now currently what is happening it out is we do have a different applications underlying, and to give a customer a unique experience, there has to be some kind of integration between all these different heterogeneous landscape. Okay. Might be for your master data of product might be one, for might be for including a customer, might be for pricing, it would be again different, for shipping all it will be different. So there are different systems who need to work in a harmony to give actually a single user experience. So this is a one very common example where we do understand high level that yeah, there is a need of an integration part of it. Now this is about an Amazon. Okay. So I don't think so. We would be needing about example of Amazon might be we need more on SAP terms, because everyone is, I'm sure, in SAP domain or are looking to go into your SAP domain. So let me just take one more example in all related to your SAP domain. So now what I'm gonna scenario which I'm gonna talk about is okay. So it's very specific to your order to cash. When I say order to cash, I think or lead to cash. Let me say lead to order would be, because this is the most easiest, everyone can actually understand it. So now let's say anywhere if I just draw this symbol, so just understand that this is for your always for your integration part of it. So now let's say if this is my integration tool CPI. Now I'll just place different kind of a systems here. Okay, so now let's say we have the system which is for your lead generation. Let's say this is any kind of a marketing tool. I'll just take HubSpot. Okay. So this is just only for your lead generation, this particular tool. I'll just build a use case of company which actually they are using it out. Okay. Then they say that we need a CRM, might be for their sales rep who can actually do the pre-sales and all the things. So this is a CRM. Now I'll just take an example of SAP CRM in cloud, which is SAP C4C, or we call it as a sales cloud. So there are multiple names. Again, SAP is for every product they have multiple names. So this is CRM. Then they have a CPQ. Okay, and then they have for your, let's say, S4 HANA. So now I'm talking about a company, okay, a company A, who might is in let's say in a steel terms or some kind of a manufacturing industry. Okay, so now how the scenario works out is, might be this is a North America customer. They know there is a tool called HubSpot, which is actually being used for lead generation. Okay, because this is a fancy tool. There are some reports, there are ways to surveys it out. There are multiple functionality. So this company say we have a HubSpot where we just generate a lead. Now we have a CRM system where we do uh, your maturing your lead, like lead, then to opportunity, and then to code part. Might be then they have one more system where they actually configure products. In case if this looks advanced, we can just give this site. Let's have this three systems only. Lead will be generated, then they will actually mature to opportunity and code. Once this particular code gets mature, where we can actually place order, we are going to place a we are going to place order into your S4 into S4 system. So now if I have to just show you the connection, everything would be integrated through your CPI. Now, first here would be a lead replication from this particular system to this CRM system. And then might be you do your normal like opportunity code. And then from here, if you have to place an order, then it will be actually replicated into the S4 system. I am sure if any kind of a field service executive, I think he would be using this front end as this C4C system only. But if you look at in this landscape, this is which is very small landscape, there are multiple applications working in BI. Because let's say if I am here a sales representative, okay, I would be using this application. Okay, I would not be using HubSpot, or I would not. I'm not sure how this technically work out, but I know every time I go onto my leads, if there is a new lead, it will get automatic replicated into this particular system. And when I want to replicate from code to order, now let's in case if I have to run an external pricing from the S4 system, which is already I have done it long time back, I would be able to see the dynamic pricing into this particular system. Now see, only from this system, I am actually working in the heterogeneous landscape. I am talking to different systems and with this particular single user experience, which is my CRM screens. Because if you have to place an order, you will just click a place order. Automatically a request will go into the system, create an order, it will give you an external ID here into this particular system. So now this is why you need an integration across different kind of SAP products. Okay, so now this is just a one normal use case, because I hope that people do understand this basic use case of a lead to order. Okay, because everyone lead opportunity code, these are like very people can relate it out as such. So now like this, we have different use cases. So SAP has identified four line of use cases or four business intelligence use cases in which all the application, I can say all applications would be covered into that particular way. So what are those? So what are those intelligent business use cases? I have talked, I think yesterday in my last session also. Okay. So now here we have something called, so there are four scenarios. I think the first one is lead to cash. Okay. Second would be your source to pay. Third would be your design to operate. And last one would be your recruit to retire. All your SAP application would come into this four scenarios. You think of your any kind of a scenario, your application would be for sure would be fitting here in all or in any of this four process. I can 100% assure. You talk any application, SuccessFactors, Viva, code system, CPQ, any application you talk about, all this would be a part of these four scenarios. Okay, so this is very important to understand. I would be talking about all these four processes in our next session, where we would be seeing it out how this is important uh, to map that where are different places where actually CPI can be reused, because I think for us it's very, very important. Today we'll also look at what kind of a pre-packaged content and all those things are available as such. Okay, I hope till here this is clear. In case if anyone has any kind of question, let me know, or I'll just move on to the next one.
Sam,
Okay.
I have one question.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Uh, yeah. See, we have this other middleware where we are talking about the integration between source and target system, where CPI will come into the as a middleware sort of. So, if suppose the target system is not available, or maybe due to some reason not available, we have a mechanism to retrigger or store it in a queue. Is that possible uh, in this?
Yeah, there are
Or
multiple ways actually just to tackle this particular part out, guys. I think now what happens is, now let's say in case if I'm just talking about a CPI. So now let's say if I send a request, might be you get a response, HTTP response. There are way that you will be able to actually read into your HTTP response. Okay, based on HTTP response code. Now let's say in case if your let's say server is not available. Okay, might be if there's error related to 500 something. So what you can do is you can actually save that particular error, and based on that particular part, if you want to store the data into data store, you want to re-trigger, then we need to implement this particular functionality. Out of the box, as there is no functionality for a re-trigger, you have to implement it out. Does it help you?
yes, yes. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay. Cool. Thank you. So
Will
now,
you
guys,
share this? Will you share this slide so that we can again go and check
yeah,
like
yeah,
so that we can like we don't waste time to prepare some notes, personal notes. Okay.
guys, this slide is for you only. This slide is
Okay.
for
Okay.
you only. Okay, I
Mhm.
after a few days, after like three weeks, I'll be able to share you, or I'll just create a common folder, daily updates, so you can actually reference it out. So this is for you. I'm not going to keep it for myself.
Okay.
So I'll definitely share it to you. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Now, guys, after this, again, there is an important question come up. We are just talking about integration. Now, let's say someone might be taking your interview and say, Sam, why do we need an integration tool? Because I have to invest it, I have to maintain it, I have to get a developer to do all the things. Why we cannot have a P2P integration? When I say P2P, it is your point-to-point integration. Okay, and because this is one of the very important reason, because every time if you go and they will ask, okay, mostly in the interviews they ask that why do we need a middleware tool? Now let's say I have an application stack. Let's say if I'm just talking about here, I have, let's say here I have my ERP, here I have my CRM, here might be have let's say non-SAP, here let's say if I have any one more application, let's say SC. Okay. Now they say why we need to have this any kind of a middleware. Let's just connect point to point. Okay, so when I say point to point, so what you're going to do is, now let's say in case if there is a function module, it has some kind of if you just convert into if you just create some kind of endpoint for it, and you ask the system just take this endpoint and hit a request with might be your get whatever is the request, you have it, and just get information. Okay, let's not wait for any kind of a CPI and all these things. Let's just connect. Let's just connect direct. So what do you think in this kind of a case? Do you think this will work out point to point? It's a good idea, or in case if you feel like okay, this is not a good idea for sure, son, this is a pain. Then what are the reasons you think why we should not have this kind of landscape? Anyone?
I can try. Actually,
Yeah,
in some cases, even SAP is providing point to point, and like you are saying that why don't like so maybe like there are lots of processes, so they have to invest personally a lot. So this is why for all processes we don't have P2P, but for one case like from EC from success factor to payroll, we have one point to point integration where we don't need uh, like some middleware.
Okay, but I would be very interested if you can just might be tell me later also that what was exactly the reason of going for a point to point. Okay, I would be very happy because if they have done it, that's okay. But please let me know what was the reason they have gone for a P2P. But how about others? What do you think, guys? Is it point to point make sense, or do you think no middleware should be part of it?
Sam, if I take the earlier question where I need to have a retrigger mechanism where source system is triggering and target system is receiving. Now, source
Hmm.
system, the activity has been completed. And if target system is not available, I have to retrigger the same functionality again, which will create a duplicate of data, sort of. So what I
Hmm.
will do, I will share the load to middleware, where middleware will wait. I mean, source system has done it. Middleware have the data right now, and whenever the
Hmm.
target system will be available, I will make sure that middleware triggers it, so that I do not have any, bottleneck or load on the source system. That is what I can see
No,
to
no,
have a
perfect,
middleware.
perfect. No, no, perfect. I think that's a really good answer because I think that's kind of practical what you just mentioned. Okay, so
Yeah.
yes, there we can actually just put this point on your middleware system where it is actually checking it out if this is successful or not, and then might be just do a retake. That's a one part of it. How about others? What
Um,
else
Yeah,
you think that
one
what
another
you
point.
what
Yeah, sorry, Sam. Yeah. One another point
no, sure,
is
please.
like there is a very good monitoring process if you use middleware where the source and destination may not have that much monitoring capability. That's what I can say. Sam.
Perfect, perfect. Yeah, that's a fair point. Yeah, because in case now let's say if you have sent a message and you would be able to actually monitor it out at okay if it's successful, fail. So yeah, you do have a very good features of monitoring in SAP CPI. Makes sense.
um,
Go on, go on.
Sam, what I think is it's also about the firewall and security, right? Every time you have to give access to an external system, be it another SAP or a non-SAP, every time you have to
Good.
give access to another system, which is not recommended. If we have a CPI, CPI is the one point who will always be connecting with ERP, SAP that is. So I feel, yeah.
No, no, I think that's perfectly. I think that's important point. So now let's say if when we're just talking about this integration. So now let's in case if you have to expose or if you have to make a request to some non-SAP system or might be in case if the request is coming into the ERP system, you cannot just directly expose your host, okay? Because ERP is a critical piece of your overall landscape. So I think yes, security is an important. Good. I think I'm very happy with this because guys, if we have this kind of interaction, like points come out again, I think it helps me also. Okay, yeah, I can just make more stretch on this on overall approach wise. Just to add few more points. So now let's say in case if we are talking about if it's talking about this overall landscape, heterogeneous landscape, which is the way how we work. Because currently, what world we are living in, we are living in the world where we have this concept of a point application, like a single application for a specific thing, might be for a visit management, might be for a sales order, or might be for your quotation. So now it's for sure that there will be many application in your landscape. So security would be critical. Now I think one more important aspect of overall having a middleware in place is the governance part of it. Okay. So now let's say if you have implemented like close to 100 or 150 iFlows, or let's say if you have 6 or 7 systems where you are expecting that there will be close to 100 iFlows or 100 integration points, data points we need, then that particular case, it will be very important to govern how this integration should actually work out or how the flow should be. So governance again from your senior stakeholder is important. I think the second important part is definitely your monitoring part. So now let's say in case if in this case now let's say if ERP sends a message and might be SCM has not received a message, you will never know okay who is telling the truth, if it was really triggered from here or it was really received here. So in case of our CPI, we do have a lot of good control where we'll be able to actually monitor all the message till till what particular step it has been executed. So monitoring is very important. Again, same with your security part. because every company has their own, or every application has their own way for authorization. It can be your OAuth, it can be your client certificate based, it can be your credential based. Okay, you cannot expose your main systems, okay, very openly when we're just talking where we have a lot of cloud based application. I think the next important part here is the data transformation part. Okay, now when I say the data transformation part, so what do I mean by that bit? So now guys, just think of a case where data transformation parts, what do I mean by that bit? So now guys, just think of a case that you talking from this SAP CRM, and might be then
there is a break in between. Is this for me only or is it?
We are not able to hear you.
Okay.
You're not audible.
can you hear me now? Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Yes.
we can.
So till what point was able to hear me out?
After data
I
transformation,
think data
Okay,
transformation.
perfect. So now guys, I think the next important point was related to the data transformation part. So when I say the data transformation, why this is important? So now guys, let's think of a case where I want to integrate SAP ERP with your non-SAP system, let's say Salesforce. Now, it's not necessary that all the systems have the same data model, okay, or how they actually accepts the data. So now let's say, I think first with the basic, now let's say might be the date format which your ECC system uses, like let's say dd.mm.yyyy. But might be what happen is your Salesforce system expect the data in YYY, DD, and your MM. Might be this can be one of the case. It can be that whenever you are creating your data, there are few code based your data types. Now let's say your academic title, okay, or might be your job title. So now let's say might be for, or for gender. So now let's say in case for a male female, we represent in your SAP ERP with 01, 02 might be, but it's not with your Salesforce system. It represents with A. So how we need to transform the data also, okay, because that's very important, because this system is not going to receive the data in the format you are passing it out, because here in the drop down it will be A for a male, B for female, but whereas the data which is being sent from your ERP system would be 01 and 02. Now the third part of it, now let's say it's not necessary that every system would be talking into your JSON format, in your XML format. Earlier, you would see that every system, when they are processing, everything is into XML. But now let's say what happens is your Salesforce system expects the data into a JSON. Now let's say if you're sending a request here from XML, this is the JSON, how it will come, how it will actually get converted. So in that particular case, you would have a lot of converters available into a CPI, which actually converts data from your JSON to XML, XML to CSV, CSV to JSON. Okay, so there are converters which are available into your SAP CPI. So this is one of the most fundamental reason that we cannot go with the point-to-point integration, because if there are any kind of a data which need to be transformed, it has to be done into your runtime into a middleware. So these tools provide a lot of different functionalities. I think this is one example. Now, I just want to just take one more example and then I'll move on to it. Now, apart from a data transformation, so now let's say there can be use cases where data what you are sending. So now let's say I am sending my data in a format where I have a header, might be an item, and might be again there is one more node, let's say your shipping details. But what at receiver end, now let's say data is not requested into the same format. Okay, data might be requested into some different format altogether. Information is same, but how they represent might be, let's say, in a flat structure. It would not be a case, but I'm just taking a random example. Now let's say the format which is expected at the receiver is different. In that particular case, we do have a concept of a message mapping also. Okay, and last part to message mapping is, now let's say we have messages. Now let's say if one of system has if I'm sending a, let's say, request from this particular system SAP ERP to Salesforce, but what happens is while sending a detail to Salesforce, my requirement is I need to get shipping details from altogether from a other system. So a call will come here into the CPI based on my order. It will go request another system, get the shipping details, merge it all together and pass it to again the Salesforce system. So these are very, very common use cases which you will see the integration going and calling from some non-SAP system, transforming the data and then passing it out to the receiver. So these are the few use cases due to which we should not be using a point-to-point. We should be using some kind of middleware tool. So your retrigger, monitoring, security, governance, data transformation, all these are part of your. You should not use a point-to-point. Now, one more important point again here before we actually close on this, I think scalability. Okay. So now let's say in case if I just say now all the systems are connected, we are just doing a point-to-point integration. In this case, what will happen is out. So now let's say in case if one system goes down, you will not be able to evaluate what is an impact. Or now let's say in case if they say this system is going for upgrade, you will not be able to actually see what are the changes you need to make it up, because it can actually put your all the systems in a mess. So there are chances for that particular part. In case if you have middleware in place, okay, so what will happen is with this particular middleware tool, you will be able to actually what you just have to cut a connection here, might be evaluate the changes. So scalability with your middleware system would be actually easy if you have middleware tool in place. So there are multiple reasons that you should be using your we should be using middleware in our landscape. Okay. Now, in case maybe you can just think through today, whenever the next week we have session, if you see Sam, there is a reason that we should go for a point to point, and happy to discuss it. And in case if we can get more point on your like yeah, Sam, we should have a point to we should have a middleware. Do let me know both the cases in case if you get any kind of a point, because I can just go on and talk about this bit. Okay. So these are your important reasons that we should not be going for a point to point. And again, if someone is saying point to point, you can just ask, okay, what exactly is the reason you want to go with the point to point? Let's say if he gives your reasons, you ask them in on this different aspects, how you will be able to transform, how you will be able to monitor it, how you will be able to govern it. Okay, so all the things you can actually check it out. Good. So this is on why we should not go with a point-to-point integration. That's the part. Now let me correct. Now let me just go on to SAP. Okay. So now guys, what happens is now we, as I told you, this tool currently is known as SAP Cloud Integration, because if you look at here, so this is a tool. We'll be just talking about that particular tool. So yeah, this pop up. So now you see this is a what's new page. Every time it comes up, it just talks about quick what is going on with this tool. I really like this pop up. We'll quickly close it out. But here, if you just look at it, say very clearly that this tool is being now renamed to SAP Cloud Integration or Cloud Integration brand. Okay, so now it's now this name's SAP CPI has been retired. Now this new name is SAP Cloud Integration. Now, guys, we do understand, okay, from the last 2-3 slides that yes, we do need integration. We have seen in the case of SAP landscape, we know there are SAP's use cases which actually needs it, and we have seen that it's better from a point to point. Now, everyone asks me that Sam, why SAP cloud integration? Like why not MuleSoft? Why not Boomi? Why not all these others? Why others are not do, or it will not do actually good? Right? Why the CPI would be a front runner in overall in SAP landscape? Guys, I think the most important reason that why cloud integration will actually be ahead of all these tools is what kind of a pre-packaged content SAP offers. Okay. So now when I say the word prepackaged content, I'm sure everyone would be having in mind, okay, Sam, what you're talking about, the prepackaged content, what exactly is the prepackaged content? So now I'll just do one thing, just to explain you and just to show you what kind of a prepackaged content is already available. I'll just take you to one example. So now I hope we have just talked about this particular use case where we talking about your CRM, HubSpot, S4. We're just talking about your Sales Cloud to S4. Now, in case of this scenario has to work out, there would be so much of integration has to happen it out. Might be in case if I have to talk from the master data perspective, it will be your org structure application. It would be your products. It would be your customers, plants, so many things. Again, same way from the transactional perspective, from the transactional data perspective, you have to replicate, might be your quote, your order. Okay, so you have to actually, if I have to work with this scenario, so all this replication has to work out. Now, what SAP says, guys, we know if any CRM has to get worked with S4, there is a like predefined, okay, there is a certain amount of a master data and there is a certain amount of a transactional data which has to be enabled. Now SAP says that we will give you this in terms of a pre-packaged content. Okay, so we'll give you handy. Create and custom. We'll create an iFlow for you, which will actually replicate an org structure product customer for you. Same way for the transactional data, they say I'll help you with these transactions also. We'll create a custom iFlow. We'll create an iFlow, a pre-delivered iFlow, which will help you to replicate code and order. Now, in case of this is an SAP landscape and SAP knows what is they are changing, I think for customer it's like a win-win, because if they are choosing any cloud-based application and they say, okay, these are the pre-packaged content already available, I'll just pick it, I'll just configure it, and I should be able to run it my scenario. If there's any kind of a custom scenario comes up, I have to build it out. So again, for me, it's actually very good. Okay, because for other middleware tools, they will not understand SAP on core or SAP S4 core well than your SAP team only. Because now let's say in case if they're making kind of a changes into the pricing services or they're optimizing it out, what kind of a performance you will be able to achieve with a standard pre-packaged delivered SAP, you will not be able to enjoy with other. I have seen it. I have seen it. Now, in case if there is any kind of S4 on-premise integration comes with any kind of cloud application, customer says, let's buy 2 licenses. Okay, we would be using a CPI for this kind of transactions. So this is one of the most critical point of SAP, that SAP is actually doing good into the integration. But as from a tool perspective, because I work on other SAP application, from a tool perspective also, this has actually matured a lot. I'm working from this particular tool on 2013. There was a first project came, it was known as HCI. I have to integrate a cloud-based application. That time it was a pain. Again, year goes on, 17, 19 was a maturity, 19, 20, I see there is a dramatical change has been happened. And I'll show you also how it actually looked like. Now, I'm sure everyone would be saying, okay, Sam, we believe you. Okay, there is a pre-packaged content is there. Okay, and with the help of which we would be able to quickly configure it and we'll be able to extend it also. But now how to see it? I am for the first time. I don't know. I don't have a system till now. How can I actually look that particular part? So in case if you are for the first time and you don't have any kind of a system, as I mentioned yesterday also, we have this api.sap.com. So once you go at this particular site, again, this is your new mode. Currently, I'll just go to the classic site. I'll just talk about this this new view also. You can once you just check on this, I think you will be able to actually come to this classic mode. I think this was a previously mode. So now let's say whatever the digital content SAP offers, okay, in terms of business process, APIs, workflows, integration, everything you will be able to actually see it here. So SAP has 2 sites. I think in case if you want to get softwares, there is in case if you want to download few of the softwares also, I think there is one portal for it. And for any kind of a digital offering, I think this is a place. Now let's say you are for the first time and now you want to actually explore what are the different content which is available. So guys, I think the most easiest way is on the left, you have this content types. Okay. On top, I think you can first do based on product search. Now let's say in case if you're looking very specifically, now let's say if I'm looking for S4HANA. Now SAP S4HANA product is overall categories chosen. I can click on view more and I would be able to see what API package, integration package, event package, business rule package. If I want to see a integration package. So this is the symbol, okay, this cubicle symbol is the symbol for your all the integration package. When I say the word package, it is a wrapper for your integration flows. Like it's like your bundle, your all the flows will be bundled into your package, as simple as that. Now, because package has, if you click inside a package, you will be able to see all the integration flow details. So if you have a very specific product, or in case if you want to search based on a content type, so you can actually look around. Okay, so you will see what are the different kind of integration content are available. So now let's say I am new to this. I have joined a new company, and they say, Sam, so we are implementing SAP Commerce Cloud, okay, with S4. Might be for your product or your order application. There can be different scenarios, and they say just evaluate what are the different artifacts which are available. Okay, standard. How much that fits our functionality, and now let's see how much we have to build a customer. So in case if you don't have a CPI system, also what you can do is you can just come here onto your integration content. Okay, or I can just go to SAP S4HANA. Might be here. I can just click on view more. I'll just click on integration package. Here I would search with commerce. So there should be one package for commerce also. I'm not sure. There is a package for sure. We have for commerce. Let me just quickly go down. I'm not sure why currently it's not showing here into. It should actually say. Let me just do one thing. Let me. If I have taken an example, let me just. Okay, marketing cloud. So in case we just put here also, I think it will actually show you. Might be this list is used. So we do have a commerce integration with your ERP. Now let's say in case if this is my use case where they ask me, okay, just explore what kind of artifacts are available for your SAP e-commerce cloud. Okay, so what I'm gonna do here is I'm just gonna come on this particular page. You can actually look around multiple ways. You can just put globally. You can actually just look at from the filter wise. So now let's say here, what I'm gonna do here is I'm just gonna click on SAP Commerce Cloud integration with SAP ERP. Okay, so now I think the first thing is you have here the details part of it. Okay, so when I say the details part of it, if you just click on more, first of all, it will just talk about the version 1.13.4. I'll just talk also how this versions change take place. When was the last modified? Okay, so this package you will see a frequent changes. And now here, I think this is an important part. It talks about all the different functionalities it had with SAP Commerce Cloud and your ERP backend system for your master data and your order application. So here it will say clearly about the scenarios. First one is replication of materials, iDocs from your ERP. I think this is the first one, material application from your ERP to Commerce Cloud. Replication of price row and discount row to Commerce Cloud. B2B customer through iDocs. Order cancellation from Commerce Cloud to ERP. Order replicate orders. I think this is one of the most required functionality. B2C customer, B2C creation confirmation from ERP to Commerce Cloud. Replicate invoice from your SAP to Commerce Cloud. Return order notification, and then again your other parts to it. So in case if you don't have user for yourself also, but you might have worked on SuccessFactors or any kind of cloud-based application, or with S4 or ECC, you would be able to actually come at specific package level, and you will be able to actually retrieve the information here. Okay, it will give you that what kind of integration actually company is doing it now. So this will be a first page where you can actually look at the information. Same way, in case if you are looking for looking things around API, so you see here there is a symbol. So for this, any package represents your cubicle sign. Then this is for your integration. Any signs from a globe where these files are coming out, again that represent your API part. So again, for API part, we'll just look at later that how you can actually look your API packages also. You see here where we have SOAP type, REST type, and OData type. All these three OData APIs are also pre-packaged delivered by SAP, which we can actually consume readily. Okay. Now let's say if you have on-premise functionality, and you might want to consume that particular functionality through a service in your app, in your cloud-based application, might be you're building on GCP, Azure, or any open source also. So you can do that particular part. So all the information would be at this particular page. So today I'll be just talking about only the integration bit. So any type of content you would be able to see here. Okay, so this is the first basic thing. Anyone has any kind of a question around this particular bit on package, where to get your basic information?
Sam, I have one question. When you
Yes.
talk about package, uh, I mean, what does it mean? I mean, it's just that I need to, it's a standard package available, and I just need to connect to my, say, for an SAP system, and
Okay. Okay.
and
See,
then it will start working.
so now when we're just talking about a package, I'll just do one thing. I'll just show you how might be in our next scenario, I think, which would be on next week. How does your package look like? How does the standard package look like? What does it mean? And how you can actually work with that particular package. That is covered into our next session. Okay.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, I think my point here was just because everyone I'm sure there are people who are coming like completely new to this integration, who haven't explored the site. So if you might be in your company, there is any kind of scenario which is running for this different application, and you want to explore what are the integration content, or for the processes, you can actually come here at this particular part, and you can actually, without any kind of login credentials, you will be able to view it out here. Okay, so this is on
I
your
have
api.sap.com. Yeah.
like regarding like why only SAP cloud integration, not others. So suppose like in big companies we have scenarios like we have two contenders. Suppose this SAP CPI and Dell Boomi. So in which scenario like CPI will win, and in which case Dell Boomi? Because earlier I know that Dell Boomi was very much used, then that was replaced by SCI slowly. So maybe, but like still, Dell Boomi is being used by some of the clients. So I just want to know, understand actually, like how they decide, like which one will be used.
What question do you have? I don't think so anyone just can answer you in a very simple term, because I think it all depends on what kind of landscape, what kind of integration flows out there. So now let's say in case if I'm just talking about S4 and might be any SAP based application, let's say SuccessFactors. Okay. Now let's say there are some kind of a complex integration, okay, and might be SAP's CPI says, okay, 60% I'll give you pre-package. Might be in case if you explore, okay, there are 40% remaining it out, and they say might be this can be integrated, but we need a specific adapter because SAP has given SF adapter specifically. Okay. Now with that adapter, we should be able to replicate data from your SAP HCM system into your SuccessFactors. So it all depends on what kind of your use case you have it. If it's my personal take is if it's SAP to SAP integration like SAP Cloud, SAP on-premise, I would say really go with SAP CPI. I think the reason behind is what kind of content they are offering it out. Okay, and if you look it into CPI, because I actually have digged into SAP CPI, so there is now huge set of functionality which is available. I think you should be able to build custom scenarios. I don't think that there should be any kind of challenges in terms of limitation of functionalities. It actually provides all. There is a no doubt Dell Boomi is a very good tool. I have used few years back. It's again very plug and play. It's stable, but because I think it has a little early entry into the market. But SAP is dominating. I think the reason is they know their applications well and they're just giving readily the content also. What question you're asking, it we have to actually analyze it out, which is a better. Might be in some case the Dell
Yes.
Boomi can also fits better, but it all depends on. I think whenever we have this kind of question, we should ask first of all how many system or landscapes are involved for overall, or what is the scope for this integration, the number of systems. Then we should be discussing it out, what are the number of interfaces we need to do it. Now let's say they say there are there are 6 systems which are available, there are close to 100 interfaces. I think our next question should be evaluating the 100 interfaces, okay, and then look at what can be achieved standard, what is available standard prepacket, and what is available through the custom part, okay. And then now let's say in case if this is 70 are possible through standard, 30 are custom, then we really need to see what 70 can be easily fit into its standard, who is offering a Dell Boomi or CPI. And in case if there is a custom which is there, then we need to look at, okay, how easily can be achieved, uh, what kind of transformation logics we have to do, what kind of a connectivity we have to do, okay. Readily adapters available. Now trust me guys, within SAP knows now how the market of your AWS or your Salesforce. Now SAP previously in SAP Marketplace, if you look at here, there was an adapter from a third parties. This last year, 2021, I was having a first batch again the same time in January, when I was discussing it out. What happened is that I was talking that there is an adapter which is available from third parties, and I was just looking for it. Suddenly what happens, because every month there is a functionality. Now what SAP has done it, now SAP has provided their own adapters also for different applications. Now you can understand how much SAP is heavily investing on this tool. Now if you look at, we have for Salesforce, we have for AWS, okay, there is a AWS adapter. Again, if you look at, these are just last year adapters, okay. If you just look at when it was created, this was created on 29th December, because I know I was talking in my batch. Okay, there is a Salesforce adapter, but of a partner, and I suddenly see that there is SAP standardly offering this part. So again, SAP is investing huge in this overall all this SAP cloud integration. You guys, without integration, you cannot just achieve any kind of a scenario. This I can just write you. Okay. So if anytime questions comes up for differentiating between tool, I don't think so anyone just
Based
can
on this,
really say go with. Sorry.
actually, based on this, I have another question, that how much time we are going to put in pre-packages, actually, like like pre-packages and custom. Like suppose if I learn this CPI, then there are two scenarios, like whether I have a pre-packaged content or whether I have to develop in a custom way. So like from your experience, can you suggest me, like in future, how much time we are going to give in pre-packaged versus custom?
For this course you're talking about? For this course, from
Not
the course
course,
point you're saying?
actually in general scenario, like in a real time scenario, like like whether we are going to like whether we will like as a integration consultant, whether I will put my most of the focus in pre-packaged content and or in the custom development, like in custom development.
Sure,
From that point
sure,
of,
sure.
yeah.
Sure. So guys, when we're just talking about, I don't think so there is anything I can just define a timeline for it. Okay, that you should go for custom, or you should, it will take this much of time. Okay, because I think it's all dependent on your use case. Now let's say in case if we are configuring this same package which I'm just talking about. Okay, so now let's say if we're just talking about SAP Commerce Cloud with ERP. Now let's say your architect says, or who scope the tenant, he says, okay, out of this 10, I think 8 requirement fits. We don't have to build anything custom. So in that case, there is no requirement for custom. There are use cases where might be SAP has not delivered standard content. SAP might be your customer needs. Now, let's say in a CRM system, they need account history, last outstanding. For every customer, they want all these details. So you have to build a custom. So there is a you cannot just you cannot measure all these kind of things, because this is a very dynamic, because it all depends on what kind of a requirement it will be. For this particular course, I can say that we have focused on standard, how to configure and how to enhance, because these are the two important things for your standard package. Custom, we would be developing it out with different functionalities, and we'll be creating your custom iFlows. Now, one more thing I want to say, guys, this is my experience. If there is any kind of a standard prepackaged content is there, okay, use that, because that's a watertight. Now, let's say if there is a interface for customer replication or for material replication, maybe there are some custom build or there is some custom things you want to do. Don't think that, okay, I know a development custom, I know custom flow development, and let me just build something for you. I have actually burned my hand a lot in this kind of things. What is SAP given? That's a watertight. Use that, enhance that, and make sure if you can just bring your customer to this kind of advantages. I'll just tell you also going forward that, okay, when you're at a customer side, what should be your, when you're building iFlow, where you should compromise, where you should not take things. You said, okay, as for a developer, take this part. I'm not going to transform it the CPI. So there are use cases, but if you can reuse the standard things, good. If there is a no way, then build custom. There is a no issue with it. So that would be my point as such here. Okay.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
I wanted to ask a question following with that. So, because in one of my organizations, like they have a vertex system for doing the financial data to fetch the financial data and to get the address details. So I'm not sure whether SAP has given any prepackaged content for that. So I think you have answered it, but I think now they are using GIS for doing that. So do you think from a CPIDS standpoint, do you think I mean we have a lot of advantage of using CPI over GIS? I think GIS previously was called a Sterling integrator. So what is your take on that? Like if at all a requirement comes to me to work on that, or if there is no prepackage given by SAP. So in that case, what I understand is like you'll have to go and build an custom iFlow. So wherein in GIS it's more feasible. So like in that case, like what should a CPA consultant do?
Prem, honestly, I haven't worked on a JS part, so I don't want to just comment on or just comment on this particular bit, that because I'm not sure how the tools are flexible. Okay, so I can just do one thing, just drop me a note with the same query. I can just do one thing, I can just explore it out. Okay, because
Sure.
there can be a way quickly build something, because I know there is again a there was a tool in with the POPI. Let's say in case if your connectivity is wrong, so you can just give the host details and all those things. You click on connectivity. When it connects, if there is an error, it will just tell you, okay, this is a certificate error, this certificates you need to download. So everything you can just quickly do it out. Okay, there are tools with the POPI, I know that. Okay, but with CPI, it, as I mentioned, as I said, this is a new tool which is into the market. So there can be a pros and cons. So I can just look and come back to you. Okay,
No problem. Sure. And
cool.
one
Thank you.
one thing which I noticed is, I mean, previously it was called as HCI and then CPI, and now it looks like it is called as SAP CI, right?
Correct. As I mentioned initially, so this has been
Yeah.
rebranded as SAP Cloud Integration. Okay, I think that it makes sense, because earlier when this tool was started, there was only it was just all about integration. Okay, they're not talking about consuming an API. Now they have actually segregated all the things into a specific bundle, and their upper layer is SAP Cloud Integration Suite. So we have a cloud integration, we have an API, we have open connectors, so into bundled services as such. Okay.
But this is in general, this is integration as service, right? IaaS, right? So that is what they, I mean, SAP claim, right? It's again uh, um, a packaged, a meaning like a platform services. integration as
You can
platform services?
you can say again, I think there is a different ways. If you are working with any kind of a US client, they call it the integration as service. Okay. I have worked with them, so I know they call it as a IES, integration as a service. Again, there are different names to it. But what SAP has given this tool the name is SAP Cloud Integration. Okay. If you are looking for any kind of a block, might we have to use the old names like Cloud Platform CPI, HCI, but currently the name is a cloud integration only. Okay.
Okay. And finally, one question. Like, in general, they say like, if the CPI, this cloud integration, it's like, paper integration, or whenever you send something, whenever you integrate or whenever you pass on data from one system to another system, it's like metered connection. That is how they charge. Is that true?
That's for API. So now let's say if we're just talking about it again, I think I'll just do one thing and I'll just take you to the services on BTP, because I think what do we have planned for the next week is I would be talking first on the SAP BTP, okay, as a tool. So now first when we'll go on to the BTP part, we would be talking about how in your SAP BTP business technology, in your BTP how the services works out, okay, which is your business technology platform. So now when I'm just talking about SAP BTP, we would be seeing it out now. Let's say in case if you're the customer, you want to get a service, what exactly is the model they have it? So they have different models in which they sell their service. Subscription base is one, consumption base is one. Okay. Generally, how much I know, CPI services are not bundled. So like let's say they say 10,000 messages, this many users. But when it's talking about API, that particular whenever you call, that's like a metered. I hope initially we have seen that whenever Ola is booking the cab in their app, they used to use a Google map. So anyone who use that app, make a call, that's like metered by your Google. Okay, so that's how it works similarly in your API management. Not for CPI, how much I know. Okay,
Okay. Thank you.
cool. So guys, I'll just do one thing, just a quick request. It's not related to questions and all those things. Going forward, what we actually do is for a 2 hour session, I think 1 hour 45 minutes, we'll just take on the flow with the course. Okay, and might be the last 15 minutes I'll just keep as a parking slot for the questions. So in case if you have not very specifically related to the flow of a course, please I would request, because the sessions get recorded, might be people has to listen it out later. So quick request to you guys, please just keep your questions for the last in case if it's related to course. Now let's say if I'm talking about a content modifier, if you have any question related to it, please we can close it now if that's urgent. And in case if there is a like general discussion, and please don't get offended if anyone, my point is just that we would be keeping the last slot for discussing the overall, if you have any kind of a question, so we can just reuse that parking slot for 15 minutes to discuss on this point as such. Okay, so yes guys, I think this is it from my side for today. I think this was just a general introduction session. Okay, and yeah, from next week onward we would be scheduling it for 2 hours, 7:30 to 9:30, and we would be discussing next week starting from SAP BTP. First we'll be discussing what is the BTP, how to actually start your service, what are the roles, what are the service, what is the S user. Now let's say if someone gives you your S user and say just look at found it, how you will go to BTP, how you will know which is a sub account for my integration, how to get your tenant, how to get your tenant detail. If someone does not give you anything, they say this is your S user ID and go and play out. Okay, how does your roles work, how is your cockpit look like. Okay, then after that, how is your sub accounts, because everyone has to set up their own accounts to practice it out. So that this would be planned next week, and once we have an account, again we'll go, I'll move on to the CPI tenant, and we would be creating our package, and then we would be starting developing our overall, okay, what might be the custom scenarios related to some scenarios, some functionality. So this is what we have planned for the next week. Okay, so guys, any closing question as such?
Hi Sam, I have a very basic question.
Please you can ask.
Yeah, it's I just wanted to understand what is the difference between API and integration package.
Okay, but it's not that very simple. Uh, it's not that very simple to just differentiate between an API and your integration content. Might well just do one thing. Let's just go over the codes on a bit, okay?
Okay.
And then I'm sure it will be very easy to understand, because if I just tell you theoretically, you'll not be able to relate it out. Once you see in the system, okay, this is how integration content is developed, and then you will see how
Okay.
how standard APIs are there. Okay, so I'll
Because
just try to give you a very practical approach. That's how you will be able to learn it out. Okay.
okay, because you were filtering based on API and integration package, so I thought.
Okay. See, what happens is initially when this tool was released, it was more about integration. Now SAP has released APIs also. Again, API is nothing. It's just way how we actually consume our data. Okay. So now let's say in case if you're on premise, there is a pricing services there. SAP says if someone wants to consume this pricing service, I am giving you predefined API. When I say the API, there's an endpoint, okay, which has a
Mhm.
specific request parameter. You pass that request parameter to the API. That API will give you the response. Okay.
Okay.
So
Okay.
API works. API has a different fashion. Your integration is again a different thing. Integration is more about connecting two systems. Okay, so we'll just talk about bit by slow on the system, and I hope all this kind of doubts would be clear for you for sure.
Okay.
Okay, just
Sure.
have a
Thank you.
patience for a month. Definitely, you need to have a patience, because you would see some kind of a SOAP XML file. You will see okay, there is a JSON formatter. Then you will see in the system exception handling. Just for 1 month, observe and learn, and then just explore left and right. Okay, this is how it can work out, or how this can work out. So we'll be just talking about on all these points. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, guys. Thank you so much for your time.
Hi, Sam. Last question. You are going to share this video with us, right?
Yes. This would be definitely shared with you guys. Okay, because we'll be creating a link where we would be sharing with you all these details as such.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Sam, just one more question from my side. Sorry. Yeah.
Just okay. Just a second. Yeah. First of all, thank you so much, guys. Let me